What's up guys, AD back with another Destiny Child video, and in today's video everyone, we are going to be overviewing some of the childs that I suggest preparing during this weekend for our upcoming Ragna Break event, featuring of course Lan Fei as the next boss. But before we get started everyone, make sure to leave a like on this video, as well as make sure to subscribe to the channel, and of course check out channel memberships down below if you're interested in further supporting the channel, and of course a huge thank you to all of the members so far. But with all of that out of the way, let's get started here with the units that I do suggest to prepare for the upcoming events. Now of course you don't need to prepare all of these units. As you can see, we have a team of light attackers on screen right now, and for the most part you'll really only be using one attacker of the bunch. Now the suggestions here are based on units that you will use over time during dark type Ragna breaks, but we'll go from high priority to lowest priority of the bunch, as well as some options that may have a significant power increase considering the upcoming buffs to our light type supporter Catgirl Nimhane. So let's get started here with these attackers, and first up we do have the light type raid attacker that is primarily used for raids in high spirit Titania. Of course this unit is a 6-hit slider, and she is a very versatile light type attacker if you do happen to need her to flex to the world boss trial, since she is a 6-hit slide unit upon being fully ignited. As for the skill set here, of course we can see that it is very amazing for the raid side of the game, as her slide skill here does have 1296 ignore defense damage to supporter enemies, as well as 1256 bonus damage to dark type enemies, as well as this slide skill being a 6-hit at full ignition. Of course these stats are at max rank, but nonetheless she is still an amazing option and definitely the top priority for the upcoming raid. As for her drive skill here, it is very strong as well, since she does grant herself tap skill final blow plus 90% to self for 20 seconds long, so this is very strong heading into fever time. Definitely a drive skill you will want to take advantage of in the upcoming Ragna break, as well as the leader buff here being a pretty strong one, as we do have skill final blow plus 18% for light type allies in raids, skill final blow plus 20% for light type allies. So definitely the highest priority here of the attackers would be high spirit Titania if you do happen to have her, but don't worry if you don't happen to have this unit, as we do have more options coming up. Next up here everyone, we do have another light type attacker in Happy Poppy Lassie. Now this unit is recommended since of course upon being fully ignited she is a 6-hit slider as well. Now Lassie is a more versatile unit, as she actually can flex very well into the PvP if you do want to run her there, as well as into the world boss trial, since of course she is a 6-hit slider. Now she won't be dealing the most damage compared to Titania, but she is far more versatile than Titania is, considering other game modes such as Devil Rumble and Endless Duel. So if we check out Lassie's skill set here, you can see that she does have focus on her tap skill, but unfortunately this only is applied in PvP. Now if she did have this applied to all areas of the game, she would definitely be one of the best attackers in Destiny Child, but unfortunately it is too strong to be allowed in all modes, so this is locked behind PvP, but you could sort of tell why she is very versatile to those other areas of the game. Now for the slide skill here, she does happen to have magic damage as well as the 6-hit slide, so a pretty strong slide skill here, but I would still prioritize Titania over Lassie. Overall, still an amazing versatile unit, a 6-hit slider, and you really can't go wrong with investing into those. Next up here everyone, we have Gunslinger Hilder. Now this unit is exclusive to the House of Reincarnation, for those of you that don't know. Now Gunslinger Hilder here used to be prioritized for Ragna Break events, but she has fallen down in favor a bit due to the Titania release, and of course a unit like Lassie as well being prioritized more in PvP compared to the two attackers here. Still, Gunslinger Hilder is a viable option, as of course she is a 6-hit slider upon fully igniting her, so still a great option if you do happen to have her invested already and would like to hold out for a future attacker, as we are expecting a future light type attacker in Hathor. If you guys haven't seen her, I'll be sure to toss an image up of her on screen, and we should be receiving her sometime in the future. We're just not sure exactly when. Now for Gunslinger Hilder here, you can see that she is a PvP focused unit as well, just like Lassie, and compared to Lassie she does lack a bit more damage since she doesn't have magic damage such as Lassie does, but still a 6-hit slider and definitely a unit you should use in the raid if you don't want to invest into Titania at this point and would like to hold out for a future attacker such as Hathor. Next up here everyone, we have Bridal Hilder. Now, Bridal Hilder was the original raid light type attacker before Titania was released, and sometimes she does come in handy, as of course, if focus is enabled during the raid, her drive skill is very strong. So Bridal Hilder is definitely a niche option, as of course this does depend on if focus is enabled or not, but she should come in handy during the next raid, as of course our new light type supporter in Celos seems to have focus on her tap skill, so I'm sure focus will be enabled for the upcoming raid event. And if you do have Bridal Hilder invested into or do need a light type attacker still, definitely a great option here to get through the event. And last but not least here, everyone, we do have a niche option here that may come into power, as of course we do have the buffs coming to Catgirl Nimhain. Now, depending on her buffs, if they do happen to translate the same over from the Japanese server to the global server, she will do very well alongside a light type percentage based attacker such as Frey is here. So if you would like to test Frey in the upcoming raid alongside Nimhain, it's definitely worth a shot, as the buffs to her skill set make her very strong alongside percentage based attackers. So light Frey is definitely an option worth testing out, but I wouldn't invest into him too much. He's definitely still a niche option and would have to go through testing alongside Nimhain and of course the rest of the team. Moving on to the light type supporters and healers that I do recommend for the event as well. We do have here Dreamer Wodan. Now, of course, Dreamer Wodan is a staple unit for the light type team raids, as she does have here in her skill sets in the tap skill in raids a 90% chance to end cooldown for 3 allies on cooldown. Now, of course, this is at max ignition plus 6 stats, but still a necessity for the Ragna Break event, as well as her drive skill here being very strong. We do have skill gauge charge speed plus, and of course skill cooldown minus 2 seconds here for 3 light type allies for 2 turns, as well as in raids slide skill final blow plus 130.1% added for 3 light type allies highest attack. And of course the drive skill here being very strong, as she does have a 95% chance to end cooldown for 3 allies on cooldown, and in raids a 90% chance to grant skill gauge full charge to 3 allies charging skills excluding self. Last but not least here, the leader buff is also a great option, as we do have here grant skill gauge charge speed plus 20% to light type allies in raids, skill cooldown minus 1 seconds for light type allies. So a great option here and definitely a top priority for the upcoming raid. If you don't happen to have her leveled up just yet, I would definitely level her up during this weekend's hot time. Next up here, everyone, we have the light type supporter Samil. Now, Samil is yet again another top tier option for the Ragna Break event, as we do have here a very strong slide, drive, and leader buff here for Samil. Now, you won't take advantage of her tap skill too much unless you are very close to filling your drive gauge bar and do need to tap her, but for the most part, you will be prioritizing Samil's slide skill, drive skill, and of course leader buff. Now, on the slide skill here, Samil does have a 95.1% chance to grant aid, weak point skill final blow plus 15% attack in proportion to the current number of buffs, and a 95.1% chance to grant time twist to 2 light type allies for 16 seconds long. In raids, she also does have skill gauge plus 66.1% for 2 allies charging skills. Now, for the drive skill here, we do have dealing 7,157 damage to 3 random enemies, drive gauge plus 150, and skill cooldown minus 2 seconds for 5 light type allies for 2 turns. Last but not least here, for the leader buff, we have skill gauge charge speed plus 15% for light type allies in raids, skill gauge charge speed plus 20% added. Now, Samil's leader buff here is highly prioritized for the dark type raid events, as well as her drive skill, so definitely a top tier priority for our upcoming raid. Make sure to level up this unit if you don't happen to have her maxed out already. Next up here, everyone, we have Light Beam Mona. Now, Light Beam Mona doesn't necessarily have too much of a priority for end game teams, but for you beginner and mid-level players, I would definitely recommend this unit, as she is very helpful. She does provide a ton of sustainability to your roster and should keep your team healthy throughout the level 30 raid boss Lan Fei. And for her skill set here, as you can see at plus 6 stats, we do have the tap skill here, which deals 2,538 damage and grants barrier a plus 1,508 damage barrier from all enemy attacks before HP is affected to 2 allies lowest HP for 10 seconds long. As for the slide skill here, we do have skill gauge charge amounts plus 74.5% for 3 light type allies, highest attack, and weak point skill final blow plus 50.4% for 16 seconds. In raids, grants vampirism, recover 34% HP HP on attack to 3 allies lowest HP. So as you can see, the survivability aspect here in Mona's kit, she does have a barrier on her tap skill, as well as the amazing vampirism on her slide skill in her slide skill, which is very helpful. Now for the drive skill here, she also does grant a barrier, absorbs 2500 damage from all enemy attacks before HP is affected to 5 allies, and a drive gauge plus 120 based on number of light type allies, up to 5 for 20 seconds long. So a great unit here, and definitely may come in handy for the Ragna burst. So I would definitely recommend to raise this unit, especially if you are a beginner or mid-level player, as her survivability will help you out a ton. Next up here, everyone, we do have the 2 double-edged sword units here, starting out with Frosty Saturn. Now this unit does help you gain a ton of damage and will be very helpful if you are trying to kill the boss as fast as possible. Now Frosty Saturn is primarily a world boss unit, but her double-edged sword does flex very well to the Ragna Break. As we can see here on her slide skill at +6 stats, she does have grant double-edged sword, attack up and the defense down 115.2% to 5 light type allies for 16 seconds long. So this is all you'll pretty much be using Saturn for, is for the double-edged sword, but an amazing unit nonetheless, and you'll definitely want to have her raised for Ragna Breaks if you would like to run this character for the high double-edged sword, and she will also be useful for world boss trials, since of course she is the offensive stance unit for the light team. Next up here, everyone, we do have the second option for double-edged sword, and of course the highly prioritized units here in Pure Smile Neptune. Now she is very amazing for all Ragna Break events, as of course she is a flexible double-edged sword unit and can be used on really any raid team. Now since Neptune does provide more sustainability due to her heal on her slide skill, as well as the lifelink on her drive skill being highly prioritized for Ragna Burst, I would definitely recommend Pure Smile Neptune for the majority of you players. Now of course, if you do have top tier ignitions as well as equips, you could probably go by with using Frosty Saturn. But for the beginner and mid-level players, I would recommend using Neptune here, as of course we can see here in the slide skill gauge charge speed plus 64.5% for 16 seconds, and heal 2204 HP for 2 allies. As well as in raids only, grants double-edged sword, 75.2% attack up and defense down to 1 ally, highest attack for 16 seconds long. Now of course her double-edged sword is significantly lower compared to Saturn, but Neptune does provide way more here, as she does have the heal on slide skill as well as the skill gauge charge speed, and of course we can't leave out her drive skill, which does happen to grant lifelink. So a great option here for the beginners and mid-level players in Pure Smile Neptune, and even for endgame players we may have to use her in the Ragna Burst, so definitely a unit to raise for our upcoming event if you guys haven't yet done so already. Next up here, everyone, we do have Battle Kitty Nimhane, which will be receiving a significance buff with our upcoming raid events. So I'll be sure to display her upcoming fully ignited skill set with her new buffs. Now this is of course based on the Japan server, and of course is subject to change, so we'll be sure to overview her kit next week when the update node does release. But as you can see here on the slide skill, she does have plus 95.1% attack to 3 light type allies, priority highest attack for 2 turns, and in raids grants plus 125% skill damage to 3 light type allies, priority highest attack for 2 turns. As well as the drive skill here, having plus 110% attack to 2 allies, priority highest attack for 33 seconds long. So we could see here, based on the increases to her slide skill, she does have plus 125% skill damage, as well as that amazing plus 95.1% attack in her maxed out fully ignited slide skill. So that'll be very strong alongside a percentage based unit, which is why I did recommend light type Frey. Now of course you won't see this skill set in game just yet, as this unit doesn't have her skill revision, but it'll be added next week with the upcoming update. So I would definitely recommend you guys to level up this unit if you haven't yet done so already, as she may come in handy for the upcoming raid, and of course alongside those percentage based units if you will be running them. Next up here, everyone, we do have a healer recommendation recommendation, which is Purebred Pomona. If you do happen to need more sustainability or would like some help with the debuffs in the raid, then you can look no further to Purebred Pomona here, as she is very helpful. We can see here in the skill set, she does have on her tap skill debuff evasion plus 28.8% for 2 allies for 10 seconds long, prioritizing the lowest HP. But for the most part, you'll be prioritizing the slide skill here, which does have regen 434 HP once per 2 seconds each, grants nullified debuffs cancelled after 14 seconds or upon receiving 1 debuff attacks for 2 allies, priority lowest HP for 14 seconds long. So an amazing unit here in Purebred Pomona for you beginner players. I would definitely recommend you all to run this unit if you do need more sustainability compared to the other options. Now last but not least here, we actually do have the water supporter in Burning Passion Anemone here. Now this unit of course did receive some significant buffs, and which we did analyze here on the channel already. If you guys would like to check out that video, I'll be sure to have it linked in the description box below. But Anemone is an amazing water type supporter that'll be very helpful for the raid if you guys don't have too many of the other options, as of course she does provide a ton of buffs here in her kits. Now as you can see on the tap skill, she does heal for 3 allies as well as granting nullified debuffs. Now of course these stats are based on the fully ignited skill set, but still even unignited Anemone is a great option if you do need more sustainability and don't want to lose out on the attack buffs as well as the skill gauge charge amount. So I would definitely recommend you all to raise your Anemone if you guys haven't yet done so already. Even if you don't happen to use her during the upcoming raid, she is definitely very flexible and will be used in all other areas. But anyways everyone, that'll pretty much do it for all of the recommendations I do have for you all in today's video to level up during this weekend's hot time for our upcoming Ragna Break events. Now make sure to let me know in the comment section below what team do you guys think you'll be running for the upcoming raid, and be sure to stay tuned for the upcoming event preview here on the channel. But before you go everyone, make sure to leave a like on this video if you did find it helpful, as well as make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so already. And of course, don't forget to check out channel memberships down below if you're interested in further supporting the channel. And of course, check out my Twitch channel, which is linked down there as well, and follow me there if you're interested in Destiny Child live streams. But with all of that being said, I'll catch you all in the next Destiny Child video. As always, thank you all so much for watching.